don't care. You see the girl standing right there. She loves a small town boy like me. She's my ride or die, baby. She's my cool, she's my crazy. She's my laid back in the front seat. She's my with me till the end, girl. I'm turning up the 10, girl. She can have anybody that she wants to be, anywhere she wants to be. She loves a small town boy like me. She likes my t-shirt, she likes my old boots, likes to slow dance to some old school. She take a full moon over them city nights, and I ain't scared to get all up in them bright lights. Yeah, I can smooth it out, I can slick it up. I guess that's why she can't get enough of a small town boy like me. She's my ride or die, baby. She's my cool, she's my crazy. She's my laid back in the front seat. She's my with me till the end, girl. I'm turning up the 10, girl. She can have anybody that she wants to be, anywhere she wants to be. She loves a small town boy like me. She loves a small town boy like me. I'm a rock star. She ain't gonna ever lose a small town boy like me. I'm a ride or die, baby. I'm a cool, I'm a crazy. I'm a laid back in the front seat. I'm so with you to the end, girl. It's turning up the 10, girl. She can have anybody that she wants to be, anywhere she wants to be. She loves a small town boy like me. She's my ride or die, baby. She's my cool, she's my crazy. She's my laid back in the front seat. She's my with me till the end, girl. I'm turning up the 10, girl. She can have anybody that she wants to be, anywhere she wants to be. She loves a small town boy like me. She loves a small town boy like me.
And we're back. You're listening to the Hardy Show, Sports Talk Speaker Radio, iHeartRadio.com. We have a poll question up. Who would you want starting at QB for your franchise next season? The options are 1, Keenum, 2, Bortles, 3, Cousins, 4, Smith. Use the accommodating numbers to give your answer. You can put them up on the chat section of this episode, or you can post them at Hardy7830 on the Twitter, or email us hardy4824@gmail.com. Very likely chance that we know all signs are showing that Smith isn't going to be in Kansas City next season. A lot of people already believe Cleveland's going to be the team to get him. There's a high chance also that Keenum won't be with the Vikings, Bortles won't be with the Jags, and Cousins won't be with the Redskins. The only way that I see Bortles being with the Jags is if Doug Marrone says to Coughlin and the head people there in Jacksonville, that's my quarterback, that's who I want. I don't think that's the route they're going to go unless they feel he's the best option. Unless Cousins goes off the board, Eli's not an option. There's talk that may be an option that Eli might want out of New York. Keenum, everything points to he's not going to be the starter next season, that they're going to probably go Bridgewater. I would love to have Alex Smith. I think that's the outlier here. I think most people would say Smith, but Cousins, you can say what you want. He's had really good games, and he has shown that he can be with the right personnel. He can be a Nick Foles, Case Keenum, Blake Bortles. He can take you far with the right personnel. That's where I would lean. I would lean in that direction. Mostly because he's not on the back end of his career. Alex Smith is. Bortles, I've always been one, even when he didn't look, I've always been a Bortles fan. I've just always been a Bortles fan. I would like to see him, even though this Jacksonville team is a great team, and yeah, they're going to have a top schedule. When you have a winning season, you get a harder schedule the next season. That's how it works. They're going to have a very tough schedule next season. But I think he's at least shown there that he deserves another season with that team. He's not the reason they lost to New England. I mean, let's all make that agreement right now. He's not the reason they lost to New England. And I really believe, I don't know if Tom Coughlin is, but I really believe that Doug Marrone is a big fan of Blake Bortles. And it wouldn't surprise me one bit if he gets him to stay there for another season. They're not going to want to pay him, franchise contract quarterback money. But they may say, you know what, we're going to tag you for a year. We're going to see how this goes. But on the flip side of that, if Alex Smith calls and says, hey, I want to play for that team. I want to play, and that's a Super Bowl caliber team. It's a young team. They got the right pieces in place. But you're playing in the AFC where you're going to have to get through New England. You're going to have to get through Pittsburgh. You're going to have to do that all over again next season. But this is a team, it reminds me of what Seattle was with the Legion of Boom. Now, granted, Bortles is not no Russell Wilson, and they have a Marshawn. Leonard Fournette is a foundation to build around there. But that's what they strike me as. But as we all know, and we've seen that with Seattle, Seattle's window is closing. Their door has shut. They've got to start looking at, what do we now need to do to get back into contention? That's a team that's on the downfall. Jaguars are nowhere near that. They're at the position they need to be. Their window is like the window of a big ass hotel in Las Vegas. It is wide open. There's just a couple of things that they need to do differently. But when you look at Bortles, the main thing, except for that ugly, nasty game against Buffalo, and I do believe a lot of that with him was doubt and tension. And a lot of weight on the shoulder, which he had, because he had so many people criticizing him, telling him, you can't do this, and he almost did it. But when you look at that game, Bortles didn't lose that game. And it's going to be interesting to see how far that goes in the eyes of Coughlin and Doug Marrone. Because I do think that Doug Marrone is a big fan of his. I really believe that Doug Marrone is a big fan of his. And then again, you got to look at the market. You got to look at the market. And unless, I wouldn't want a 38-year-old, if Eli and his agent called and said, hey, we're interested, because that New York job is going to be a rebuilding job. Chances are they're not going to be a contender next season. The question's going to be, does Eli want to ride it out, or does he want to try to jump ship and go to a contender and go for one more run? But if I'm Coughlin and Marrone, all due respect, if a 38-year-old Eli calls me, or if a 35-plus-year-old Alex Smith calls me, I don't know. I think I'm sitting there going, you know what? Our best option may be Bortles right now. Because again, when it comes down to it, he didn't lose that game for them. They lost that game because of the greatness of Brady and Belichick and a New England team that knows how to make adjustments better than anybody. Better than anybody. Cardinals have named Panthers defensive coordinator Steve Wilks as head coach. Mike Vrabel, over the weekend, hired as the Titans' new head coach. Patriots show once again why Brady is best ever and franchise is best ever as they come back from 20-10 to top the Jags 24-20. I mean, just think, with 9 minutes left in that game, Jaguars were up 20-10. And Brady and Amendola, especially Amendola, just took that game over. But again, Belichick and that staff, that's the greatness of them. They make adjustments perfectly. And that's what they did in that game. They made adjustments. And they made the right ones. And when you look on the other end, Jacksonville got tired and there was poor play calling. Again, we go back to that old script. You're up 20-10, shouldn't be throwing the ball. Run it. Give it to TJ Yeldon. Give it to Leonard Fournette. Take away as much clock from Brady and Belichick as you can. And I still don't understand why these offensive coordinators and why these head coaches cannot get that in their head. When the Jaguars had a 20-10 lead, they threw the ball 8 more times than they did rushing the ball. That makes no sense at all. I mean, for Pete's sake, when you're playing somebody in Madden and they have a touchdown lead on you, what are they doing? They're taking away the clock. They're taking away that precious time for you. And when you're up by 10 points in the fourth quarter, you should not be throwing the ball 8 more times than you are running it. That was Atlanta's downfall. That was Kyle Shanahan's downfall. They didn't take time away. They didn't give the Patriots a sense of urgency. And that's what the Jaguars failed to do yesterday. You're up 20-10. Just run the ball. They're the ones that are playing from behind, not you. Take away as much clock as you can. And they didn't do it. And on the other end of it, that defense was gassed. That defense was gassed. And Tom Brady was brilliant in the fourth quarter and the second half. Absolutely brilliant. He showed once again, whether you like him or not, best quarterback, best franchise, best coach-quarterback duo of all time. And what we've seen New England do and continue to do, more than likely, chances are, we will never, ever see it again. Period. The Eagles dominate the Vikings 38-7. Foles throws 3 touchdowns. Keenum had that critical game, 2 picks, one of them pick 6. Then he had the fumble in the red zone. So Super Bowl 52 is set. It will be Patriots-Eagles, 6:30 p.m. on NBC, February the 4th. Eagles open as the biggest underdog since 2009 Cardinals versus the Steelers. They shouldn't be, though, but they are. They're the biggest underdog, and the Vegas Sportsbook has even said that part of that is because of the QB versus QB scenario. One side you got Foles, the other side you got Brady. That's where you're getting the 5.5 from. But the Eagles, I believe, they were underdogs to, I know they were underdogs to Minnesota, and I'm pretty sure they were underdogs. Vikings were a 3-point favorite against the Eagles. And yes, the Falcons were a 3-point favorite against them. So they're, as a number 1 seed, they've been underdogs in every game that they've played in the postseason, and so far they've won every one. Obviously, if you're a betting man, you got to go New England because Vegas and the